can't count all the way back. 3 all the way back. No, 2. I don't know.
There's about 10 in front of every row, and then half of the rows. So,
Oops. The 2 stars, have the 2 stars in there. Yes, the 3 guys you know. Oh, how cool.
Oh my God.
And present arms. Please rise and join the 126th Army Band in a salute to our nation as they play our national anthem.
yeah.
Today's flyover is brought to you by the Michigan Air National Guard's 107th Fighter Squad. The formation is commanded by Mission Commander Captain Harry Torvik. Joining him are Lieutenant Austin Fellow, Lieutenant Colonel Bartley Ward, and Lieutenant Colonel John Rubin. Please be seated. Distinguished in their own right, there are some who have been recognized for that extra effort that makes each of us proud to wear the uniform. Presenting this year's awards are Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, Major General Rogers, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Robinson, and Command Sergeant Major Russell III. The Army Commissioned Officer of the Year Award is presented to the company grade officer in the state of Michigan that best represents the skill and professionalism of a military officer. This year's winner is Captain Zachary Plotsky, B Company, 1st Battalion, 147th Aviation Regiment. The Army Medical Readiness NCO of the Year Award is presented to the Medical Readiness NCO in the state of Michigan that best represents the skill and professionalism of a Medical Readiness NCO. This year's winner is Sergeant First Class Alejandro Villarreal, 63rd Troop Command. The Army Honor Guard of the Year Award is presented to the Honor Guard member in the state of Michigan that best represents the skill and professionalism of an Honor Guard member. This year's winner is Staff Sergeant Christopher Larson of the 107th Engineering Battalion. The Army NCO Instructor of the Year Award is presented to the NCO instructor in the state of Michigan that best represents the skill and professionalism of an NCO instructor. This year's winner is Sergeant First Class Timothy Van Brocklin, 177th Regional Training Institute. The Army Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year Award is presented annually to the NCO who outperforms their counterparts during the annual Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year competition. This year's winner is Staff Sergeant Caleb French, Recruiting and Retention Battalion. The Order of the Founders and Patriots of America was founded in 1896. It has had direct connections with the military forces of our great country since that time. The order is composed of men descended from a founder of this country before 1657 and a patriot ancestor of the same line who supported the American Revolution. A large majority of our associates have served proudly in the armed forces of the United States. Their purposes are educational, historical, and patriotic. They love this country and commend you for your patriotic service and the unique and valuable mission you perform in the Michigan National Guard. The Order of the Founders and Patriots of America Award is presented annually to the best all-around National Guard unit. This year, we have the honor of recognizing the 1st Battalion, 182nd Forward Support Company. Accepting the award is Captain Robert Wilson. The award is being presented by the Society's Governor General for the National Order of the Founders and Patriots of America, Mr. Thomas A. Smart. The Rasmus Hansen Award is presented annually to the most outstanding all-around junior enlisted soldier in the Michigan National Guard. Mr. Hansen donated the original section of land known today as Camp Grayling. Being honored this year is Staff Sergeant Craig Perry, Forward Support Company, 107th Engineering Battalion. Presenting this award is Mr. Hansen's great-granddaughter, Nancy Hansen Carrier, and his great-great-granddaughter, Molly Radner. The Air Force Airman of the Year Award is presented annually to the airman who outperforms their counterparts during the annual Airman of the Year competition. This year's winner is Airman First Class Jamel Fortune, 110th Security Forces Squadron. The Air Force Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year Award is presented annually to the Senior Non-Commissioned Officer who outperforms their counterparts during the annual Airman of the Year competition. This year is presented to Master Sergeant Amy Pascas, 110th Wing. The Air Force First Sergeant of the Year Award is presented annually to the First Sergeant who outperforms their counterparts during the annual Airman of the Year competition. This year's winner is Master Sergeant Christopher Partega, 127th Maintenance Squadron. The Air Commissioned Officer of the Year Award is presented to the company grade officer in the state of Michigan that best represents the skill and professionalism of a military officer. This year's award is going to Captain Patrick Retzer of the 171st Air Refueling Squadron. Captain Retzer could not be with us today. The Air Force Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year Award is presented to the non-commissioned officer who outperforms their counterparts during the annual Airman of the Year competition. This year's winner is Technical Sergeant Mike Danger of the 127th Civil Engineering Squadron. Tech Sergeant Danger could not be with us today. The Army Soldier of the Year Award is presented annually to the enlisted person who outperformed their counterparts during the annual Soldier of the Year competition. This year's winner is Specialist Logan Rutledge, B Company, 1st Battalion, 125th Infantry Regiment. The Major General Earl R. Stewart Award is presented annually to the best all-around Michigan Army National Guard enlisted soldier. This year's recipient is Specialist Logan Rutledge, B Company, 1st Battalion, 125th Infantry Regiment. Specialist Rutledge could not be with us today. The Army Warrant Officer of the Year Award is presented to the company grade warrant officer in the state of Michigan.
Today we take time and reflection to recognize our Michigan National Guard soldiers who have given their lives in defense of our great nation during the global war of terrorism. These 21 soldiers who have laid down their lives to protect our freedoms, which we hold so deeply through the reading of their names. We also take time and reflection in remembrance of the service members who have passed away over the past year, who have honorably served within our ranks of the great state of Michigan, protecting our nation. We honor them and their families today through the reading
and present arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able, please rise and honor those who have fallen.
Bring your units to order arms. Stand at ease.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Director of the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs and the Adjutant General for the Michigan National Guard, Major General Paul D. Rogers.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today in the stands to honor the men and women who serve our nation and serve our country. Thank you to all the soldiers, airmen, and cadets who formed up today to represent the Michigan National Guard, to represent your services, and to represent all those who came before you, who served and sacrificed on behalf of a grateful nation and on behalf of our great state. Today is a memorial. We are here to honor and recognize those who have served before us and who are no longer with us. It's a solemn moment. It's a reflection on their service, their life, and their sacrifices, and the sacrifices of their families. So it's not something we take lightly, and it's something that we are honored to do each and every year. This is my 7th pass and review as the Adjutant General. But before that, I stood in your formation for over 30 years. It's an honor to stand and represent your organizations. Organizations like the 107, who were first ashore on Normandy on D-Day. Units like the 126th Infantry, the Ghost Mountain Boys in Papua New Guinea, who did the unbelievable crossing of a mountain to engage with and destroy their enemy. The regiments who volunteered and served during the Civil War and traced their heritage back to even before Michigan became a state. That is the legacy on which you stand. That's the history that you represent on this hallowed ground. The men and women who come here by choice and join you today are here because they love you and they support you. And we are honored and blessed to have so many organizations that are willing to support you day in and day out. And they are represented by local leaders. They're represented by family members and volunteers. It's a great blessing. And on behalf of the almost 10,500 men and women of the Michigan National Guard, I applaud each and every one of you for joining us here today. Thank you on their behalf. I'd also like to recognize briefly a partner, a friend, a brother from Liberia, the Chief of Defense from Liberia, and his party that have joined us here today, Major General Forley. It's an honor to have him here, and we are always honored to join him in Liberia for their recognition and celebration of their service members. As I mentioned, you stand here today in honor and recognition and representing those who have come before you over hundreds of years, but also you're here to represent all that you've accomplished this year. And it's amazing what you have done. You're adding to the history and legacy of your unit. You're adding to the history and legacy of service in Michigan. President Lincoln thanked Michigan for sending the volunteer regiments to save Washington, D.C. on the onset of hostilities during the Civil War. Michigan is always first. Michigan is always present, and I'm proud to be part of your formation. We inherit that legacy and the incredible responsibility to carry that legacy forward as professionals of the military arms. So let us take this moment today to not only remember those who've come before us, not only to represent those who serve with you today, but let's take it as a personal obligation to recommit ourselves to the profession, to the protection of our nation, to the support of our state, and to the service within our communities. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do, and thank your families for sharing in that sacrifice and that service. It is a distinct honor for me today to introduce your next speaker, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Michigan. We are blessed with amazing support from local, state, and federal officials, but we're also blessed for the leadership of Governor Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist. So it is a distinct honor for me today to introduce to you your Lieutenant Governor, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist.
Thank you, General Rogers, for your service and your leadership, and good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to be here on behalf of all 10 million people who call the state of Michigan home at my first experience with Pass and Review. I'm honored to celebrate the Michigan National Guard and recognize them for their outstanding performance, leadership, service, sacrifice, commitment, and diligence. We also recognize and thank and show tremendous gratitude to our fallen heroes and those and their families who continue to mourn. Our service members and veterans are the best of the state of Michigan. The Michigan National Guard is one of the most reflective bodies of all of our people, representing every walk of life, every county, and every community. All of them took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state. Governor Whitmer and I took the same oath. We share our commitment to our values, our principles, our rights, and our opportunities as Americans. I thank you for stepping up every day to make sure that we are safe and secure and able to live out and be our best and reach our full potential in Michigan and America. You do so with an unselfishness that all of us seek to not only match, but to emulate. So many Michigan families can trace our connections to the armed forces and appreciate the work that all of you do and represent. That includes my own family. My father, who's worked for the Department of Defense for 33 years, working with the Army. My father-in-law, who served as a Green Beret in Vietnam. My many cousins who were in the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Every Michigan family is connected to a service member somehow, and we all are appreciative of the leadership. This is an organization in the Guard that is amongst the most respected in Michigan. At a time when we question the popularity of so many things, there is no question about how popular the Guard is. Whenever the Guard shows up in a situation, people smile because they know that that situation is only going to improve. And here at Camp Grayling, it's often the epicenter of that operational excellence. From hosting Northern Strike, to deploying to North Carolina in the wake of the Hurricane Helene, to supporting communities across northern Michigan during the historic ice storm earlier this year. I can personally attest to the gratitude of Michiganders who know that things are better because of the Michigan National Guard. We are especially proud of the partnerships that we hold so dear, that you're forging with Latvia, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. I too want to echo and acknowledge Major General Davidson Burley, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Services of Liberia. We are grateful for our 15 years of partnership and thank you for that leadership. Governor Gretchen Whitmer we want you to know that we support you. We have your back. We will always do everything in our power to make sure that you have what you need to be and do your best. We have worked hard to make sure there is a future for the Michigan National Guard that's prosperous and bright. We have secured a brand new fighter mission at Selfridge Air National Guard Base to protect 30,000 jobs and 5,000 military families. We have enacted bipartisan legislation expanding eligibility for National Guard tuition assistance for spouses and dependents. Since those expansions, more than 300 applications for tuition assistance.
Commander of Troops, pass and review.
Pass. Interview.
The 126th Army Band from Belmont, Michigan is under the command of Chief Warrant Officer 3, Kimberly Ferrante, and Drum Major Sergeant First Class Christopher Herbin.
There's oboes in that. Oboes.
The commander of troops for today's military review is Colonel Andrew Coombs, Chief of Staff for the Michigan Army National Guard. He is followed by Joint Force Headquarters staff. The Joint Color Guide is being led by Staff Sergeant Todd Wood, Joint Force Headquarters. The Regional Training Institute, headquartered in Augusta, is under the command of Colonel Eric Schramm. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Stephen Netzley. 1st Battalion, 177th Regiment is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Amanda Self. The senior non-commissioned officer is Master Sergeant Paul Corder. 2nd Battalion, 177th is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel April Lakatos. The senior non-commissioned officer is Master Sergeant Daniel Blazer. The Joint Force Headquarters in Lansing, Michigan is under the command of Captain Michael Minton. The senior non-commissioned officer is First Sergeant Kyle Herring. The Michigan Recruiting and Retention Battalion, headquartered in Lansing, is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Richard Sands. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major David Lewis. The Michigan Medical Detachment, headquartered in Detroit, is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Timothy Finley. The senior non-commissioned officer is First Sergeant Martin Anderson.
The people that are on the inside, they're doing half steps so that they stay in line.
46th Military Police Command, headquartered in Lansing, is under the command of Major General Scott Tepeka. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major James Taylor. The formation today is led by Colonel Russell Harding.
Look how many there are.
63rd Troop Command, headquartered in Belmont, is under the command of Colonel Stephen Chan. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Michael Henry. The 3rd Battalion, 126th Infantry, headquartered in Wyoming, is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shabala. The senior non-commissioned officer is Sergeant Major Tim Arnold.
We stayed for this. I'm so glad we stayed for this.
The 1st Battalion, 125th Infantry Regiment from Saginaw is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Tad Reed. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Darren Alexander. The formation is led by Major Caitlin Bougan and First Sergeant Matthew Tremonto. The 3rd Battalion, 328 Aviation Regiment, headquartered in Grand Lakes, is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Jeremy Bernard. The senior non-commissioned officer is First Sergeant James Demler. The 177th Military Police Brigade, headquartered in Taylor, is under the command of Colonel Tiffany Lauren. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Edward Williams. The 107th Engineering Battalion from Ishman is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Grosma. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Benjamin Kroll.
At that place, you know. He's being.
The 156th Expeditionary Signal Battalion from Howell is under the command of Major Brian Sneeden. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Michael Christian. The 210th Military Police Battalion from Taylor is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Jared Bandon. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major William Gribble.
That's a big unit.
Good for you, Gribble!
The 507th Engineering Battalion from Kalamazoo is under the command of Major Megan Green. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Wesley Anderson.
That's a lot of good people.
The 272 Regional Support Group, headquartered in Lansing, is under the command of Colonel Jenna Cho, and the senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major James Robbins. The 182nd Field Artillery from Detroit is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Jason Mitchell. The senior non-commissioned officer is
All
First
the guys
Sergeant
that making all
Caleb
that
Vickery.
noise. Artillery.
The 1225th Support Battalion from Detroit is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Ashley Dice. The senior non-commissioned officer is Sergeant Major Leonard Lakers. The 119th Field Artillery, headquartered in Lansing, is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Alex Kishnider. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Preston Vandermark.
Just those people in the blue. Here's the Air Force.
The 146 Multi-Function Medical Battalion from Ypsilanti is under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Karen Sims. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Jason Ritter. The 246 Transportation Battalion from Jackson is under the command of Major Melody Taylor. The senior non-commissioned officer is Command Sergeant Major Jonathan Weiss. The Michigan Air National Guard flight representing Selfridge Air National Guard Base, Battle Creek Air National Guard Base, and the Alpena Combat Readiness Training Center is led by Lieutenant Colonel Lucas Freudenberg. Senior non-commissioned officer is Chief Master Sergeant Eric Morris.
I want to know who these people are. I want to know who these people are. Must be like an ROTC or
The
something.
Michigan Youth Challenge Academy, located in Battle Creek, is represented by Sergeant First Class Jeremy Mercer and Staff Sergeant Justice Britton. With them are 13 cadets who are members of the drill team that took first place at the Tri-State Challenge. Please rise and join the 126 Army Band as they present the Air Force and Army songs.